a Pedro Casillas a que realice el primer discurso, que me parece que va a ser en inglés, y con su avalador, que va a ser Julián. Así que Pedro, el discurso se llama Four Simple Suggestions. Pedro Casillas, Four Simple Suggestions.
There I was, with a big smile on my face, eyes closed, arms out, ready to receive the four simple suggestions. Four simple suggestions that I had been chosen to take into the world to help us deal with COVID-19. As I stepped forward to receive these four simple suggestions, I tripped and I dropped the four suggestions onto the floor. As I stood up, I opened my eyes and I found myself in an old shop. I rubbed my eyes and I found myself sitting in a cafe. I rubbed my eyes again and I found myself at home. And it was then that I realized that I'd been living in a fantasy world, one that I had created to help me deal with the mental pressure that COVID-19 was having on me and my family. Madam Toastmaster and fellow Toastmasters, what about you? How are you coping with COVID-19? Well, I thought about these four simple suggestions. Yes, they had come from my imagination, but worth another look? Well, in my imagination, I heard these voices speaking to me, giving me advice in the form of four simple suggestions. A voice spoke. We know you have been out of work, unemployed for some time. This is not good. You are not alone. Know you this, there will be a future and you have to be prepared. You must reskill, learn new things, go back to study and get ready for the future, for this is the only way. A second voice then spoke. Four walls, trapped at home inside four walls. We know this has been hard on you and your mental health. Though there are many solutions, it all starts with communication to yourself and to others. Get out of your head. You must reach out and speak to your friends and family, and you must seek out professional help when necessary. And you must ask your friends what you can do to help them. Improve your communications, for this is the only way. A third voice spoke. At home, sat down, long periods, sat down, inactive, a sure way to let COVID beat you. You must fight back. You must fight against inertia. Strengthen yourself. You must move. If you can walk, walk. If you can run, run. If you can stretch, stretch. You have to do whatever you have to do. You have to fight inertia. Movement is the key. The final voice spoke. Governments around the world are fighting COVID. Though it may seem hard, we must all stick together. Follow the advice, wear the mask, stay at home, get vaccinated when it becomes available. We must fight this together. Well, I thought about these four simple suggestions, and was I actually following them? The answer was no. Of the four simple suggestions, I was only following one, and that was the government's advice, none of the others. So, fellow Toastmasters, what about you? I ask you again, how are you coping with COVID-19? Are you doing any better than I am? Or maybe you are already following these four simple suggestions. Maybe not. Well, I decided then I was going to give these four simple suggestions another try to see where they would take me. The first one, back to study. Being out of work is no fun. You feel down, you feel depressed, and sometimes at my lowest point, I felt like giving up, which is so against my nature. But I had to do something, and I didn't know what. So I thought to myself, well, why not? Why not go back and study something new? What's the worst that could possibly happen? Well, I work in IT, so I chose to upskill in AWS, which is Amazon Web Services, a difficult certification program, but I made myself a commitment that I would study 30 minutes to 1 hour per day for as long as it took. For the second simple suggestion on improved communications, I realized that I hadn't been speaking to my friends and family as often as I should, so I set myself another goal, to speak to a member of my family or friends at least once a week, and then to see how I got on. And for movement, well, I set myself another goal. I would walk outdoors every day for 10 minutes to 1 hour, and again, to see what difference it would make. Well, as the fourth one, well, I was going to carry on and just following the government's advice. So how did I do? Well, the first one, back to study, well, I completed my AWS certification, took over 2 months, but just having that purpose kept me going. And not only did I pass, but I also landed a new job. Double result. And as for the second one of communications, I now speak to a family member or a friend or a colleague at least once a week. And this has had a massive positive impact on my mental health. Listen, it's good to talk. We must get better at doing it. And for the third one, well, I got an app and I followed what I was doing, and I'd be walking. It was frightening to see how quickly I became unfit. Walking helped me in so many ways, and I'm glad I'm doing it. And for the fourth one, following the government's advice, well, I've recently received the COVID vaccination. So again, Toastmasters, what about you? If you're not doing these already, well, how about trying these 4 simple suggestions and see how they help you? Here they are again. Back to study, call friends and family, move, exercise, follow the government's advice. While these 4 simple suggestions came from my imagination, their impact has been anything but fanciful. They've been very positive on my mental and physical health. And maybe, just maybe, they might do the same for you too. Try them and see for yourself. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Pedro, for that speech.
Dear fellow Toastmasters, and especially dear Pedro, fantastic introduction to a very current topic. You grab of attention like no one else. You live in that world of fantasy that make us dream with you. I have to say that the whole speech has been captivating, has kept us thinking what is coming next. And I have to praise you because you have used several techniques to do so. First of all, a clean and crisp voice. Love it, seriously. But I think that you already know that. Also, your hand gesture. What a fantastic movement on camera. But I think you already know this. The most important thing I will say is the message. Very valid message. Now, I think, however, that you could do a bit better. First of all, do you really need the background? I don't think so, because when you move, you or we can see shades behind you. Sometimes your hands melt into the background. It's tempting to use on Zoom background, but do not need to do that, especially if it doesn't add anything to your message. Secondly, the framing. Your hand gesture was good, but your hands were all the time here. Why? Either get up or lower your camera so we can see all the action that you have in your body. Notes gazing from time to time. Well, all of us do it. Resonating with me is the main issue I will recommend you. You have very current stuff, really day-to-day experience for all of us, and it should be easier to resonate with your audience. But I think that is a lot of I. What is there for me? Maybe you could use other kind of vocabulary, saying, I reach my mother. These kind of things that will help the audience to relate a bit more. Also, you could use examples of how you improve when you went out. What was making you not going out? But what I want to say with this is, yes, it's a story about you, no doubt, but you have to connect in that way with us, that we feel engaged with that history. And I think that in this occasion, you did not manage to do so. Back to you, Mr. Topics Master, Toastmaster.
Gracias, Julián. Ahora vamos a poner un minuto de reloj para que cualquiera de nosotros que